Today's lesson is talking about learning target 6, last one in unit 3, which states I can use formulas to solve real-world problems. Now here, this is very similar to learning target 5, where we talked about solving literal equations. Formulas are a form of literal equations, okay? So what we talked about in that learning target is the same thing as what we're doing here. It's just once we solve for a certain variable, we're going to take it a step further and actually have values that we can plug in to find different things based on how we solved our equation. Okay, so this first one says the formula of a circumference of a circle is C equals 2 pi r. One thing to note here is the expression pi. Remember that that is a number, so it's approximately 3.14. It obviously goes on forever, not repeating, but that is a number value, just like 2 is. Okay, so keep that in mind. Where C represents the circumference and R represents the radius. So here, for this formula, they want us to solve for R. Okay, so taking my equation, I have C equals 2 pi r. Now 2 and pi are both multiplying to r. So how I would undo one is how I would undo both. So because they're both being multiplied, I would undo them both by dividing. And so then dividing both sides by 2 pi gets me, now I don't know what C is, so I'm going to leave it as C divided by 2 pi, and then the 2 pi's on the other side cancel each other out, leaving you with r. Okay, so there is my first part there. I solved my formula for r, or for the radius. So then now in step 2, now it's saying if the largest yo-yo in the world has a circumference of 32.7 feet, what is the radius of the yo-yo? Oh, sorry for the repeat there. Okay. So here they gave me the values of what my circumference was, and that's the only variable on the left side of C. So this is representing C. Okay. So with my equation that I have up there, I'm going to plug in that value, which is 32.7. Okay, so then from there, now it's just a matter of dividing the two with one another. So here, R is going to equal 5.2. Now I rounded in the calculator. So in the calculator, it really says 5.204366639, but because I don't want you to have to write all those decimals, I want you to be able to round to the nearest tenth, so that's the first decimal place. So since it's 5.20, the 0 makes it stay the same as 2. Okay, so that's how I got 5.2 here. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing this, is that when you put this in the calculator, not putting parentheses around the 2 pi in the denominator makes it hard to get the correct answer. Okay, so just so you're aware, if you write it like this in your calculator sees this. Which is two different things from one another, and they are not equal. Okay, so make sure when you divide or dividing two things that are multiplied to each other in the denominator, make sure that you have parentheses around it. Okay, just a helpful hint there. Okay, next one here, it says the formula for the volume of a rectangular prism is V equals L times W times H, where V represents the volume, L is the length, and H is the height. So I want to be able to solve the formula for W. So L, W, H, and this is an L, by the way. Okay, that's how I write my L's, because the L, like on here, looks like a 1, right? So I write it cursive just to make it distinct. You can make it a capital L if you'd like. I'm perfectly fine with that, just so you are not confused. Or if you have some other fancy way of writing an L, go for it. So if I want to solve for W, just like in the last problem, L and H are being multiplied to W. So I would handle this the same way, in the fact that I want to divide both sides by L times H. Okay, so on the right side, that cancels the L and the H out, leaving you with W on the right. I don't know what V divided by L times H is, so I'm going to leave it as I have it written. So then my equation is now V divided by L times H, which equals W. Okay, so then now I have all these values. So volume of the rectangular prism is 79.04 cubic inches or cubic centimeters. The shorthand would be like that. Length is 5.2 centimeters. Height is 4 centimeters. Okay, and we're trying to find the width. Okay, so using my equation from up top, I have what V is, and I want to divide it by what L and H are. So V is 79.04. Then my length is 5.2, and then my height is 4. So then here, order of operations tells me that I need to do my multiplication in the denominator. So 5.2 times 4 gets me 20.8. And then dividing 79.04 divided by 20.8 gets me 3.8. And remember that because you have a context here, it'd be centimeters. Okay? And actually, to be honest, looks like, oh man, I put feet on that one, so I took care of that. I thought I forgot. So remember your labels for these. Remember that when you're doing things in the denominator here, when I did this, I actually multiplied them together. You can do the same thing here with the 2 pi. You can multiply those two and get yourself one number. So 2 times pi would be a 6.28 approximately, and then do 32.7 divided by that answer. Would be the same thing. You can still get 5.2. Okay? Have fun.